Okay, so we have started recording today's meetings. Make sure everybody is aware of that. And we will be going through the following agenda. We're going to be going through what progress monitoring schedule is, and then how what that looks like in ELLevation. That's going to be our main focus today, is what it looks like in ELLevation. Okay, so let's look at our progress monitoring schedule. Just to let you know, this schedule and these dates are not state bound. Okay, it's not like our LPAC dates that we have to have it done by a certain time. These dates have been made up by our department, and the only reason we created these dates was to mirror what special ed department is requesting of you and what the intervention department is requesting of progress monitoring. Okay, so when we met with the other departments, our goal was to create a linear form of progress monitoring for all of our students, so that when you're talking to your teachers as a whole and you're discussing how our students progressing and whether they are meeting the expectations, the curriculum expectations that we have for them, it is that when you're talking about your EL students, your English learners, then you have a way to document their needs. Okay. So again, the main reason for this schedule is so that we can respond to those English learners who are failing and make a plan to meet their needs for the school year. Okay, and our goal again is to get that plan started, and if we need to redo it at the end of the next 9 weeks, then we'll revisit it again. Okay, so progress monitoring is something that is mandated by the state, but it's not linear. It's not given to us by a certain amount of dates. So we don't have to do it within a certain amount of dates, but we want to do it at a time that is most appropriate to meet the students' needs. Usually we would do progress monitoring in October, but due to the other needs that we've had on our campuses due to COVID, then we went ahead and moved it up until December time. Okay, so that the priority for you and your campus could be the instructional support that the students needed at that point. And now we are in the second phase of, now that we focus in instruction in the classroom, now how have our students responded or not responded accordingly? Okay, so that's what you've been working on thus far, is the LPACs, identifying students in meeting their instructional accommodations. This is the first year we opened instructional accommodations changes for the students in ELLevation from the teacher. Okay, so in years past, only the LPAC administrator had the availability of making the changes for instructional accommodations in ELLevation. But this year, we opened it up to where teachers could go into ELLevation and per student change the students' instructional accommodations. Okay, so just know that, and that's still open for the teachers to continue doing all through the month of December. Okay, once we get into January, we will close the instructional accommodation availability for teachers to make changes, because any changes that we'll make after that will be during the LPAC assessments or end of the year LPACs. Okay, so just wanted to start there. We have hyperlinked these instructional accommodations to for you to use. So one of the recommendations that I think I've talked to most of y'all about is having this instructional accommodations page in a PLC, or printed out in a PLC, and saying, okay, let's talk about your English learners. How are they doing? And if they're not performing, then what accommodations can we change for them to meet their needs? Okay, and then you can go either by grade level or by content, or however you choose to do that in your PLC. But definitely print that out for your teachers so that they have a list of the instructional accommodations that have been recommended by domain, or the student's proficiency in TELPAS, either a beginner. We recommend these following instructional accommodations. If the student's mostly intermediate, then we recommend these instructional accommodations, advanced and advanced high. The only reason why you have asterisks in advanced high is because then that feeds into a designated support in STAR testing. And if those students receive an instructional or designated support in STAR testing, then they cannot be recommended for reclassification at the end of the year, okay? And usually it's our advanced and advanced high students that we are making those recommendations, so we want everybody to know about it from the very get-go. So it's not a surprise when we start doing assessment LPACs, okay? Do y'all have any questions on that? No? We're good? Okay. Because y'all know I can talk away, so please stop me at any point. And so then we've also created a teacher click sheet for your teachers. So either you can email it to them or you can provide it for them for their PLC. And it just walks them through how to log into ELLevation and then where to make the instructional accommodations changes for their students from a teacher view. Okay. So hopefully that can help you whenever you're having those conversations with your teachers. So then moving from instructional accommodations, then we moved to the ELLevation email. So what we did is we ran a report in ELLevation with all the students' grades. And for those students that failed that first 9 weeks, either in language arts or in math, then those are the teachers that received a progress monitoring form for the student that failed. Okay. So if a student was failing reading or math, and they were also an English learner, that's when we pushed out a progress monitoring form from our department to your teachers. Okay, so that happened the week before we left for Thanksgiving. Okay. Know that with that, if you have a dyslexia teacher, or one of the problems that we ran into was that your teachers that taught during intersession were also receiving the forms for those students that they did not have in class. We have since corrected that, but if you're still having an issue with that, please let me know so we can address it. I think we've taken that option completely out. Skyward helped us do that, so that should be fixed. But I'm saying should because I never know, right? So, but please reach out to me and let me know. So now we've gotten to where we are today. So now your teachers have received that information on what students they need to progress monitor because they failed either reading or math. And so what does it look like for you as an administrator? Okay. So in this section here, you have a click sheet for teachers on how to complete the progress monitoring form, okay? So the click sheet shows them after you log into your ELLevation, you are going to click on the monitoring tab at the very top of the of your ELLevation page. Then from there, you are going to have your progress monitoring forms to complete. Once they click on that, then it'll give them a list of their students in one form per student, okay? And so the form is going to ask them, do you think this is a linguistic need and that's why the student failed? Or do you think it's something other than linguistic? Was it because of attendance, behavior, missing homework, so on and so forth? But if they click that it's linguistic, if they check off that it is linguistic, then we want to know how can we support that student? What instructional accommodations does that student have before? And how do we need to change this, right? So is the student getting frustrated? So let's talk about it. Why is the student getting frustrated? Is it because they're having to translate what they're learning throughout their lesson? So how can we give them a word bank before we start a lesson? So that way they can pull from those words, pre-taught vocabulary, to apply to the lesson to be used throughout that unit that we're teaching them. Okay. So then that'll lead into instructional accommodations that we need to change. And then the final part of the form is that teachers will let us, so once the teachers have gone through that thought process, then they will let us know, yes, I do think that the student is failing because of their linguistic needs. And so therefore we need to have an LPAC to make the changes for the student. Okay. So once the teacher completes and submits that request, then for you, let's talk about what that looks like as an administrator. Okay. So you have this click sheet that's available to you. I'm gonna move over to ELLevation so I can show you what it looks like on the live feed of ELLevation. Okay. Do I have any questions thus far?
Diana, you said that they got it before the break.
Yes, ma'am.
Our grades weren't finished until today. So
your grades for the first 9 weeks?
no, this is for this progress report. So was
Okay.
it? So it was
yes.
It was first 9 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Okay. It was just the first 9 weeks, yes. So you could compare it to your progress report grades and see if the student has made progress. So then it's not there's no need to have an LPAC for that student.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think we can move to that step right here. So when you log into ELLevation, this looks like your dashboard, except you don't have so many students, but this is how many English learners we have in the district. Hopefully that you're not seeing this view. But we're going to go up here to the Students tab, and we're going to click on Monitoring. Okay, I'll give everybody a minute. And then in Monitoring, we're going to go down to ELA Progress Monitoring. Okay, so let's click on that. Is everybody ready for me to click on that? Give me a thumbs up. All right. Everybody seeing that? No? Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to click on it. Oh, and of course it logged me out. So here we go, back again. There was somebody out there that needed me to do this again. That's why that happened. You know that, right? So here we go. I logged in. I'm in Students, Monitoring, ELA Progress Monitoring. So once I get to my progress monitoring for ELAR, I'm going to make sure that my due date is 12/7/20. Okay. Just to remind you, this is a made up date from us. Okay. These are not going to close on December 7th. All right. Whether you decide to share that with your teachers or not, that's completely up to you. All right. But just know that we made up this date, and that's what your teachers know thus far, but they can still continue to submit progress monitoring forms after this date. It's not going to close. Okay. So once you're here, make sure you're in this date. And so this first tab is how many students actually needed the progress monitoring forms. Okay. So from here is where we assign the forms to the students or to the teachers to complete. So if you still have a count here, and it looks like we do, what I'll do today before I leave is push these 90 out. Okay, for some reason they decided to show up. Oh, this is why. Okay, so there was, you see, for high school we had engineering classes that didn't need it, and so that's what you should have 0 in this count. Are y'all at 0 right now? Yes. Okay. All right, great. And then, so now your count should be in this assigned forms. So those are all the forms that we've sent out to your teachers. And you should be able, so you can use these filters. Let's say you're meeting with a certain teacher and you want to see if she's completed her forms, then you can add the teacher's name here and look her up or him up. Okay, so you can just see. Okay, she doesn't, you see how I typed in her name there? I don't have any that are coming up. So I want to click on submitted forms to see if hers have already been submitted. So that's one way that you can use the filters to look up a teacher and see whether they've submitted all of their forms. You can also use it by grade level. So let's say today I'm having my PLC with my third grade team, and I want to see just third grade students who we've assigned the form to, and then who has or who hasn't submitted. Okay, so that's a way you can use these filters here, right? So I'm here in the assigned forms because these are all the forms that have been assigned to my teachers. But now I'm working on, I need them to complete it and turn it in. So as teachers are submitting their forms, this group, this number here is going to go down because they're going to be moved to the submitted forms because they submitted their form for you. All right. When they do that, when the teachers submit their forms, remember how I said at the last option for the teachers was if the students needed an LPAC because of their lack of or they're failing due to linguistic needs, then what's going to happen is there's going to be a red flag next to the student's name. Let me see if I can find one like that. Do you have any questions? Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Okay, so here in the filters, you can also filter with flags. Okay, so just here all or with flags.
So Diana, as you were saying, and I'm sorry, this is Roderick King over at Rowlett Elementary. Hey, you were saying we all should have 0 in needs monitoring, but in the middle where it says assigned forms, we should have a number there. And once we click on that number, will that give us a better indication of what we have?
Yes. So the assigned forms are all the forms that have been submitted to your teachers. Correct. Okay. And so this number needs to turn 0 at some point this month. Okay. And I'm leaving that up to you as a campus administrator to figure out those dates. Well, we've given you a requested or what we recommend is that they would be finished by December 10th. Okay, because then that gives you the last week of December to have those LPAC meetings to see what do we need to change for the students so that when we come back in January, we already have a plan in place. And the teacher, and so that could be something that during, you know, that first day that teachers get back for staff development, that they can be revisiting to make sure that those instructional accommodations are updated and ready to go for the students when they return in January. Okay, so that's the only reason why we've recommended these dates here, is so that you have time to meet with those students, with those teachers about those students that are failing. Okay, so in the ELLevation view, like you said, then you're gonna look at the submitted forms, and you're gonna look at those students that have a red flag. Okay, because those students that have a red flag, then what we need to do is make another plan for the student to meet their linguistic needs. Okay, if they don't have a red flag, that means the teacher is telling you this student is failing because of something else other than linguistic needs. So there's something else that's happening in that child's life that is causing them to fail. And you probably already have them in an intervention through RTI, or you have them in going through 504, or maybe you're getting ready to do a special ed meeting. So the red flag is given by the teacher. Okay, so when the teacher, let me go back here. When the teacher is submitting their form, their progress monitoring form, at the bottom of the progress monitoring form that the teacher is completing is they will check off the student failed due to linguistic issues. and he or she needs additional intervention to be successful in my classroom. I am requesting to meet with the LPAC teacher or admin to discuss intervention strategies for this student. Okay, so if the teacher checks that off, then you will have a red flag here. So let's say the teacher doesn't think that. Okay, then the students will automatically still show up in your submitted forms. They just will not have a flag next to them. So if you disagree with the teacher, let's say you're thinking this student does have linguistic needs, but the teacher didn't flag them, it's okay. You can still move forward with having an LPAC for that student. Just because the teacher didn't request it doesn't mean it's that we're not going to meet about that student's needs. And you might have already met to discuss them. Okay, so just like Ms. Smith was saying, we're in progress monitoring mode for the next 9 weeks already, right? We're about to finish the second 9 weeks. So because you're getting those immediate scores right now, then I would compare it to who did you have a flag for and who did you not? What else are the teachers telling you that they're doing fine? And then I would compare that to your progress monitoring. If they're doing fine, then they should not be, or I would compare it to your progress reports grades, because if we don't need to do anything for that student, then their progress report grades should have gone up and they should not be failing at this time. Again, this is just a tool to filter down the students that are failing so that you're not meeting about all English learners, okay? Because all English learners are going to need support. And if those supports are working for the students, then there's no need to do a progress monitoring LPAC for them, okay? It's just more for those students that the current plan that we have is not working, so we need to change that plan. And I know y'all agree with me 100% on that, and I know you're doing that already on the campus, and so this is just a tool to help you to filter down to those students. Okay? All right. Do we have any more questions on this page here? Okay. All right. So then from here, what we're going to do, so we've made it all the way on the click sheet through here. Okay, so where the student, it tells you each one of these boxes is described right in this section here for you. Okay, so hopefully you're not taking notes, you're just using the click sheets to guide you as we go along, because there's a lot that I'm saying, y'all. So then you see here, these are the date or the information that's been submitted. It'll tell you whether there's a red flag or no flag at all. So if there's a red flag, then there'll be a linguistic need. Okay. So now let's talk about that linguistic need. So from here, I would pull a list of all the students that are flagged and start talking to my teachers about them, right? And so you can then go student by student and the next part of the click sheet then takes you to your LPAC, okay? So now I want to meet with about this student and redo their support system. So then I would click on the LPAC, schedule and perform an LPAC. And we're going to choose a progress monitoring LPAC. Okay. So you have to put your name here. Okay, I just had to take a quick picture so I know to go back in there and delete it before the administrator on the campus sees that I'm doing this part. So I just wanted to show you what the actual form looks like. Okay, so the reason why we did it in the LPAC Center is because all the information auto-populates for the student, right? So that's what I love about ELLevation, that all the student here, the students' names, their test results are here, easily accessible to us to have a conversation about the instructional accommodations that we need to change. So this is where I would go and edit this student's instructional accommodations as we're having the conversation with the teacher. Okay. This is not a required LPAC by the state, so that's why I only had to put two people in the meeting. Me as the LPAC administrator, and then the teacher, because that's who's giving me the information of what we need to change. So as we scroll down, then we are these are the main parts of the conversation that we're gonna have. What strategies and instructional assessment accommodations are you recommending? What do we need to change for the students' strategies? Do you recommend any type of tutoring program for those students? What can we add? Are you as a teacher already doing a tutoring program, or we also have a newcomer tutoring program that we've started as a district? So please reach out to us and we can support you with that too. Is there anything else that you might be working towards special education support, that we're seeing that the student has cognitive needs, or maybe we need to reach out to our social worker for the district to support those students' needs because of what's going on at home? Or is there anything else that we haven't talked about that we need to plan for the student? So maybe interventions where the interventions are already in place, but we might need to talk to the nurse because we are seeing that the student is having other medical concerns. Again, I'm just going through different conversations that I've had with teachers, but use these sections to have those conversations with your teachers, and then document what we're going to do different for the student. And then you just finalize an e-sign once you're done, and you're done. Okay. So this is just a way to document your conversation about what we need to change for that student. Here is where you can see what the teacher's progress monitoring form that they filled out for this specific student looks like. So let's say the teacher says, oh no, I never meant to fill that out. This student doesn't have linguistic needs. Well, then you can go through this form and say, but you checked off that the student had a linguistic issue. Okay, so that's why I'm reaching out to you about this student. Okay, and you can see that sometimes none of this is going to be filled out, but a lot of times it's because the teachers don't know what instructional accommodations, and they just need to have that conversation with somebody else. Okay, and that's okay. And then sometimes in the notes, the teachers can sometimes, they'll share out other things that are going on with that student and why they requested this meeting. Okay. Do y'all have any questions about this part? No. And that's it. That's it. And again, our main goal for our schedule is just to break up the how to meet the student's needs. So once we've noticed that the student is failing, then is it a linguistic need or non-linguistic need? And then that guides you as an administrator on how to support that teacher. Is it going to be to provide them with sheltered instruction support or change instructional accommodations? Or does that student have other needs other than linguistic needs, and we need to go through another either intervention department, RTI, 504 to help and support that student so that they're not failing in the future? Okay, so that's the main purpose behind our progress monitoring. And we did add here just at the bottom, again, for any student that's advanced and advanced high, if they have, if they're going to be given designated support of oral administration, content and language support, or extra time, they will not be allowed to be reclassified at the end of the school year. Okay. All right, well, let me go back to the agenda. And let me answer this question that we have, but if y'all have other questions, please ask. So the question is, can a long-term sub have access to this due to maternity leave? That's going to be, so any access that teachers have to ELLevation is determined by HR, okay? So if you do have a teacher that's on maternity leave and they don't have access to the teacher's ELLevation account, then if you'll email me who that teacher is, first and last name, and let me reach out to Skyward to see if that's a possibility. We haven't been able to do that yet, but we have a new coordinator that's helping us with ELLevation and Skyward, and so it doesn't hurt to ask. Okay. All right, do I have any other questions? Let me check our comments. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. Y'all have been fabulous this afternoon. Thank you for sticking around with me this long, but I wanted to get to you as quickly as possible, as soon as we returned, so I could give you the big picture. We still have our office hours every day at 1 o'clock. But you know how I am about that. If you need me another time, then just let me know, and I'll be happy to jump on at another time or date. I will be meeting again tomorrow at 4 to 4:30 with another group of administrators. You're welcome to come back and just listen in if you'd like to, just because you want to hear me talk again, or you actually have other questions. But feel free to come back at the same link at the same time tomorrow, okay? I will be out on campus all day tomorrow. I get to sub. Woo! So I'll be at Parkcrest. So I probably will not be responding to your emails as quickly as you would like tomorrow. But I will be here for the training tomorrow afternoon, probably from their campus. And I will provide you with this recording. Yes. So hopefully I recorded it correctly. But either way, I will let you know that the recording is ready for you to view. So let me finish our recording. Stop recording.